Hello students, I am Mr. Taye from Davark University from Department of Information Technology, and my specialization is artificial intelligence as well as I am instructional designer. So far I have taught from various universities, from one international university and from other Ethiopian universities. From international university I taught from India Institute of Technology, Ropar, artificial intelligence courses and related courses, and from Zantip University as well as from Dabark University. So today I will try to teach you the course System Analysis and Design, which has the course code ITec3061. Okay, so as I told you, I am instructor of System Analysis and Design. The course code ITec3061. Let's proceed. This is Module 2, Unit 3, Gathering User Requirements. So let's start from learning objectives. By the end of this unit, you will be able to, that means your students be able to, 1. Formulate a plan for assembling an effective requirement gathering team, and the second objective will be apply fundamental requirements gathering techniques to elicit stakeholder needs, and the third objective is construct essential use case models to capture user-centered system interactions. And the other objective here is deploy low-fidelity essential user interface prototypes to explore and validate user interactions. And the other objective here is create a domain models using Class Responsibility Collaborator card to identify key concepts and relationships. And the other objective here is also compose a supplementary specification to document non-functional requirements and system constraints. And the last objective in this unit is identify potential change case to anticipate future system evolution and scope. Let's go. The first one is introduction. So as you know, this course is system analysis and design. So let us try to define system development life cycle. This the abbreviated one, this as highlighted. Okay, so system development life cycle is the process by which the organization moves from the current system to the new system. So at the output of planning is the system request. What the system requests do? 1. Provides general ideas for the new system. 2. Defines the project scope and provides the initial work plan. Besides this, the analysis phase takes the general ideas in the system request and refines them into a detailed requirement definition, functional models, structural models, and behavioral models that together form the system proposal, or we can call it project proposal. Okay, so what's the system proposal? The system proposal is presented to the approval committee, who decides if the project is to continue. So this usually happens as system works through. That means there is a meeting at which the concept for the new system is presented to the users, the managers, and key decision makers. And the other important point here is deliverables. The deliverables created during analysis are the first step in the design of the new system. So what is a requirement? A requirement is a statement of what the system must do or what characteristic it must have. During analysis, requirements are written from the perspectives of the business person, and they focus on the what of the system. Okay, they focus on business user needs. So they usually are called business requirements, and sometimes user requirements. Later in design, business requirements evolve to become more technical, and they describe how the system will be implemented. Requirements in design are written from the developer's perspective. That means they usually are called system requirements. The other important point here is types of requirements. We have two types of requirements: functional requirement and non-functional requirement. You must include all of the key stakeholders in a requirement gathering process. So this may include managers, employees, staff members, and even some customers and suppliers. If you do not involve a key person, that individual may feel slighted, which can cause problem during implementation. For example, how could they have developed the system without my inputs? So, functional requirement. Functional requirement relates directly to the processes the system has to perform or information it needs to contain. Define the functions that the system needs to have. For example, requirements that states that the system must have the ability to search for available inventory or to report budget expenses. Functional requirements are the functions of the system to be developed. For example, the main functions of the system are filling the evaluation forms, add user information, view evaluation results, modify user account information, manage user account information, activate the evaluation for the evaluated teachers, calculating the result of the evaluations, add new evaluation criteria, delete evaluation criteria, and so on. The other important point here is non-functional requirements. It refers to the behavioral properties that the system must have, such as performance and usability. Non-functional requirements are primarily used in design when decisions are made about the user interface, the hardware and the software, and the system's underlying physical architecture. The ability to access the system using a web browser would be considered a non-functional requirement. Non-functional requirements describe a variety of characteristics regarding the system, like operational, performance, security, political, and so on. So, these characteristics do not describe the business processes or information, but they are very, very important in understanding what the final system should be look like. Let's see some examples. For example, requirement type and example here is. Okay. Operational. The system should be able to fit in a pocket or purse. And the other one is the system should be able to integrate with existing inventory system. This is as like operational. Okay. The other one is performance. Any interaction between the user and the system should not exceed 2 seconds. The system should receive update inventory information every 15 minutes. And the other requirement type is security. Only direct managers can see personal records of staff. Customers can see their order history only during business hours. And the other requirement type here is cultural and political. The system should be able to distinguish between United States and European currency. The system shall comply with insurance industry standards. Those are some of the non-functional requirements. Security issue. The system must be protected from being accessed by unauthorized users. So the system must be protected from being accessed by unauthorized users. Availability. The system should easily be available at any desired time. And the other non-functional requirement here is reliability. The proposed system will minimize crash during its runtime, since more than one user could use the system simultaneously. The other important non-functional requirement here is performance. The system should be well fit to perform operations clearly without any problem. And the other important non-functional requirement here is user interface. The system provides database application user interface that are compatible with Android platforms. This will minimize the time needed for the user to adapt and to use the new system. And the other important non-functional requirement here is we can say maintainability. Okay, the system should be developed for easy maintenance and future expansions. In order to accommodate future demands of the system, users and the system should be easy to understand and maintain. The other important topic here is putting together requirements gathering team. It has three important steps here. 1. Choosing good subject matter experts. Choose experts who have a good enough qualities and capabilities to model objects in the process of gathering user requirements. And the second one is choosing good facilitators. In this case, considering the good conditions and necessary things which facilitate and enhance the comfortable environments for requirement modeling by assigning a responsible stakeholder. And the third is choosing good scribes. In this case, selecting the writer who is able to compile and sort the things which will be done in requirement modeling is choosing a good scribes. So, here is the fundamental requirement gathering techniques. Before the project team can determine what requirements are appropriate for a given system, they need to have a clear vision of the kind of the system that will be created and the level of the change that it will bring to the organization. The basic process of analysis is divided into 3 steps here. Okay, the first one is understanding the current system. You have to know the current system. And the second will be identify improvements. Okay, and then developing requirements for the new system. So don't forget those 3 important things: understanding the current system and identifying improvements and developing requirements for the new system. Here, the second challenge of requirements gathering is choosing the way or ways in which information is collected. So there are many techniques for gathering a requirement that vary from asking people questions to watching them work. The 5 most commonly used techniques are: 1. Interviews, and 2nd, chat session, a special type of group meeting. Okay, and the 3rd one is questionnaires, and the 4th one is document analysis, and the last one is observation. Most projects use combinations of those techniques. The first one is interview. The most commonly used requirement gathering technique, which is called interviews. Usually, if you need to know something, you ask someone. There are some basic steps to the interview processes. The first one is selecting interviews. Okay, the first one is selecting interviews, and the second one is designing interview questions. Then preparing for the interview. Then after preparing, conducting the interview. After conducting the interview, post the interview follow-up. The first one is selecting interviews. The first step to interviewing is to create an interview schedule that lists all of the people who will be interviewed, when, and for what purpose. So here we can see from these tables there is a name, position, and purpose of interview and meeting. For example, the name of Andrea, and the position is director and accounting. And what is the purpose of interview? Strategic vision for new accounting system. And meeting time, Monday, March 1 from 8:00 to 10:00 a.m. And another Jennifer, for example. Jennifer, okay? Jennifer. The name is Jennifer, and the position is manager, accountants, and receivable. And the purpose of interviews, current problems with accounts receivable. Then when the time the meeting will held, Monday, March 1 from 3 p.m. And the other one is Mark here, okay? Mark is manager, accountant, and payable. And then the purpose of the interviews, current problems with accounts payable process and future goals. A meeting time, Monday, March 1 from 4 to 5 p.m. and so on. This is how we try to selecting interviews. Another one here is designing the interview questions. There are three types of interview questions. The first one is closed-ended question. Closed-ended questions are those that require a specific answer, okay? And used when the analyst is looking for a specific and precise information. And the second one is open-ended question. Those that leave room for elaboration on the part of the interview, and it is designed to gather rich information. And the third one is probing question. It follows up on what has just been discussed in order to learn more, and they often are used when the interview is unclear about an interview's answers. They encourage the interview to expand on a previous response. Three types of questions, as you observe from this table. Closed-ended question. Example, how many telephone orders are received per day? And the second example here, how do customers place orders? And the third example here, what information is missing from monthly sales report? And the other type of question is open-ended question. What do you think about the current system? And what are some of the problems you face on daily basis? And what are some of the improvements you would like to see in a new system? And the third type of question is probing question. Here is why. Can you give me an example? Can you explain that in a bit more detail? This is three types of questions with an example. The other one is preparing for the interview. You should have a general interview plan that lists the questions that you will ask in the appropriate order. Here, be sure to prepare the interview as well. When you should schedule the interview, inform the interview of the reason for the interview and the area you will be discussing. Then, conducting the interview. Carefully record all information that the interview provides. The best approach is to take a notice, tab record the interview, and recording ensures that you do not miss important points. And finally, be sure to separate facts from opinion. Take care of this. Be sure to separate facts from the opinion. Then, besides that, post-interview follow-up. After the interview is over, the analyst needs to prepare an interview report that describes the information from the interview. The report contains interview notes. Then the interview report should be written within 48 hours of the interview. Often the interview report is sent to the interview within a request to read it and inform the analyst of clarification or updates. Another important gathering technique is joint application development, or the so-called JAD abbreviatedly. JAD is an information gathering technique that allows the project team, users, and management to work together to identify requirements for the system. 10 to 20 users meet together under the directions of facilitator skilled in jar techniques. So the facilitator is a person who sets the meeting agenda and guides the discussion, but does not join in the discussion as a participant. One or more two scribes assist the facilitator by recording notes, making copies, and so on. Often, the scribes will use computers and case tools to record information as a jar session proceeds. Any form of jar called electronic jar or e-jar. In an electronic jar or e-jar meeting room, each participant uses a special software on a networked computer to send anonymous ideas and opinions to everyone else. Jar session can be held remotely. In this way, all participants can contribute without fear of reprisal from people with differing opinions. This image, as you see, there are multiple people and various important things for the sake of processing or walk through the jar meeting. Okay, this image shows jar meeting room. The other important component of gathering technique is questionnaires. A questionnaire is a set of written questions for obtaining information from individuals, used when there is a large number of people from whom information and opinions are needed. Commonly used for systems intended for use outside of the organization. Can be prepared form or electronic form. Today, more questionnaires are being distributed in electronic form, either via email or on the web. Electronic distribution can save a significant amount of money compared to distributing paper questionnaires. The other important technique for gathering is document analysis. Project teams often use document analysis to understand the current system. There are many helpful documents that do exist in organizations: paper reports, policy manuals, user training manuals, organization charts, and forms. But those documents only tell the part of the story. They represent the formal system that the organization uses. The last one is observation. Observation is the act of watching processes being performed. It's a powerful tool for gathering information about the current system because it enables the analyst to see the reality of a situation rather than listening to others describe it in interviews or judge sessions. Observation is a good way to check the validity of information gathered from indirect sources such as interviews and questionnaires. Observation is often used to supplement interview information. Another important topic here is essential use case modeling. The goal of requirements modeling is to understand the business problem. So, use case models focuses on exactly this issue. So, use case diagrams are one of the unified modeling language artifacts. There are two basic flavors of use case models. The first one is essential use case model, and the second one is system use case models. Let's try to discuss about essential use case modeling. Essential use case modeling, often referred to as a task case model or an abstract use case model. So models a high-level view of your behavioral requirements. But System use case models, also known as concrete use case models or detailed use case models rather than abstraction. So models analysis of your behavioral requirements describing in detail how users will work with your system. So essential models are ideal artifacts to capture the requirements for your system. When you are in essential use case modeling, you will develop a use case diagram, identifying essential use case and identifying potential actors or roles that interact with your system. Essential use case diagrams. Use case diagrams depict 1. Use cases, 2. Actors, 3. Associations, and 4. System boundary boxes. Use case. A use case describes a sequence of actions that provide something of measurable value to an actor. Drawn as a horizontal ellipse. And the other one is actor. An actor is a person, organization, or external system that plays a role in one or more interactions with your system. Actors are drawn as stick figures. The other one is associations. Associations between actors and use cases are indicated in use case diagrams by solid lines. Remember, it is by solid lines. Associations are modeled as lines connecting use case and actors to one another. And another important point here is system boundary boxes. You can draw a rectangle around the use cases to indicate the scope of your system. As you observe from the screen, this is a simple use case diagram. Here is actor, this is actor, this is actor, this is also actor, this is also actor, and this is also actor, okay? And this is system boundary, this is system boundary, and this is use case, okay? This is use case, this is use case, this is use case. So you can take, as it is a simple use case diagram, a simple use case example. So let's try to identifying actors. How we will try to identifying the actors. An actor represents anything or anyone that interfaces with your system. So this may include people, external systems, and other organizations. Actors are always external to the system being modeled. They are never the part of the system. To help find actors in your system, you should ask yourself the following questions. Who is the main customer of your system? Who obtains information from this system? Who provides information to the system? Who installs the system? Who operates the system? Who shuts down the system? What other systems interact with this system? Who will supply, use, or remove information from the system? Where does the system get information? Identifying use case. To identify use cases is to identify potential services, okay? By asking your stakeholders the following questions from the point of view of the actors. The first question is, what are the users in this role trying to accomplish? To fulfill this role, what do users need to be able to do? What are the main tasks of users in this role? What information do users in this role need to examine, create, or change? What do users in this role need to be informed of by the system? What do users in this role need to inform the system about? Those are how identifying use cases, or some important questions which are used for identifying use cases. For example, from the point of view of student, actor, you may discover that students enroll in, attend, drop, fail, pass seminars, need a list of available seminars, need to determine basic information about a seminar such as its description and its prerequisites, obtain a copy of their transcripts, their course schedules, and the fees due, graduate from school or drop out of it, need to be informed of changes in seminars, including room changes, time changes, and even cancellations, provide fundamental information about themselves, such as their name, address, and phone numbers. Another important point here is essential user interface prototyping. The user interface is the portion of software with which a user directly interacts. So it represents the general ideas behind the user interface, but not the exact details. Represents user interface requirements in a technology-independent manner. It models user interface requirements. Requirements evolved through analysis and design to result in the final user interface for your system. You have to focus on your users and their usage of the system. Another important topic here is domain modeling with Class Responsibility Collaborator cards, or we can call abbreviatedly CRC cards. Class Responsibility Collaborator module is a collection of standard index cards that have been divided into 3 sections as class, responsibility, and collaborator. A class represents a collection of similar objects, whereas responsibility is something that a class knows or does. And a collaborator is another class that a class interacts with to fulfill its responsibilities. So, a responsibility is anything that a class knows or does. For example, students have names, addresses, and phone numbers, so a student knows these things. Students also enroll in seminars, drop seminars, and request transcripts, so a student does these things. The things a class knows and does constitute its responsibilities. Sometimes a class has a responsibility to fulfill but not have enough information to do it. For example, students enroll in a seminars. To do this, a student needs to know whether a place is available in a seminar, and if so, and he then needs to be added to the seminar. However, students only have information about themselves, their names, and so forth, and not about seminars. What the student needs to do is collaborate or interact with the card labeled seminar to sign up for a seminar. Therefore, seminar is included in the list of the collaborators of the student. CRC cards. Collaboration takes one of the 2 forms. Okay, in this case, the collaboration takes one of the 2 forms. 1, a request for information or a request to do something. For example, the card student requests an indication from the card seminar whether a space is available, a request for information. Student then requests to be added to the seminar or a request to do something. Second, another way to perform this logic, however, would have been to have a student simply request a seminar to enroll himself into itself. Then have a seminar do the work of determining whether a seat is available. If the seat is available, then enroll the student. If not, then inform the student that he was not enrolled. So, a CRC module is a collection CRC cards, standard index cards, that have been divided into 3 sections as shown in figure below: a class, responsibility, and collaboration. Here is a class and here is a responsibility, and here is a collaboration, as you see from the figure below. A class is any person, place, thing, event, concept, screen, or report. The responsibilities of a class are the things that it knows and does, its attributes and methods. The collaborators of the class are the other classes that it works with to fulfill its responsibilities. So, CRC cards are a simple, easy to explain approach to working with users to define the requirements for an application. Here is an example of CRC card. Okay, this is the class. This is the responsibilities, and this is the collaborators or collaboration. Okay, more an examples of CRC card. The figure below depicts a small CRC module for the university information system. The cards were identified by working closely with project stakeholder who understood this part of the domain. Because CRC cards are a simple technique, you will quickly discover that your stakeholders will learn how to work with them, particularly for high-level conceptual modeling. This is more an example of CRC cards. Okay, here is a class, here is responsibility, and here is a collaborative. For similarly for this, and for this also. Okay. This is also another CRC card sample example for ATM machine. Okay, ATM machine. Here will be there is a class. Here will be a responsibility. Here will be a collaborator. Okay, so basic user stories are there. User checks the balance, user logs into the machine, user get fast cash, user makes deposit, user withdrawals from the savings. Another important point or topic here is developing a supplementary specifications. A supplementary specification is RUP abbreviatedly, or Rational Unified Process. We can say Rational Unified Process. It's abbreviatedly as RUP. Document that contains requirements not contained directly in your use cases. This often includes business rules, technical requirements, and constraints. The best way to think of a supplementary specification is that it is a container. Okay, it is a container. It is a container. It is a container into which you place other requirements. The first one is business rules. A business rule defines one aspect of your business that is intended to assert a business structure or influence the behavior of your business. Business rules often focuses on access control issues. For example, professors are allowed to input and modify the marks of the students taking the seminars they instruct, but not the marks of students in other seminars. So business rules may also pertain to a business calculations. For example, how to convert a percentage marks. For example, 91% that a student receive in a seminar into a letter grade. For example, A- or A+. Some business rules focus on the policies of your organization. Perhaps the university policy is to expel for 1 year anyone who fails more than 2 courses in the same semester. Another important point here is technical requirements. A technical requirement pertains to the technical aspects that your system must fulfill, such as performance-related issues, reliability issues, and availability issues. These types of requirements are often called service level requirements or non-functional requirements. Another point is here constraints. A constraint is a restriction on the degree of freedom you have in providing a solution, okay? So constraints are effectively global requirements such as a limited development resources or a decision by senior management that restricts the way you develop a system. Constraints can be economic, political, technical, or environmental, and pertain to your project resources, schedule, target environment, or to the system itself. Like business rules and technical requirements and constraints are documented in a similar manner. Example: potential constraints for the university system. Let's take CT24. The system will work on our existing technical infrastructure. No new technologies will be introduced. And the second example, C56. The system will only use the data contained in the existing corporate database. Okay, another important topic here is what is a change case. A change case describes how a system handles a requested change after implementation. It documents what is changed, why it is needed, and how it affects the system. Used during system maintenance and enhancement. It helps analyze impact, cost, risk, and required modifications. It supports controlled and organized system evolution. So, how identifying change cases? Review user feedback, error reports, and system logs. Identifying new business or legal requirements. Detect performance, security, or usability issues. Then analyze technology or environment changes. Then after document the change request, scope as well as, and impact. Let's try to summarize or conclude what we have discussed in this chapter. Requirements define what a system must do and its functional as well as non-functional characteristics. Effectively, requirements gathering involves stakeholders, a skilled team, and structured techniques. Common techniques include interviews, chat session, questionnaires, document analysis, and observation. We have also discussed about requirements are modeled using essential use cases, user interface prototypes, and Class Responsibility Collaborator cards and domain models. Finally, we have discussed also supplementary specifications and change cases, helping manage non-functional needs and future system changes. This is all about this chapter and today's discussion. So if you have any question and any suggestion, you can welcome by the email bailey.getu@dku.edu.it. Thank you. See you for the next class.